So most people have this question in their life. Who am I? What do I do with my life? I think it's encoded in our DNA. That question is supposed to be asked at some point in everyone's life. You're supposed to come to a point where it's a crossroads in your life. Think, who am I? What is this about? What's the meaning of life? Those are big questions, and I think most people answer them themselves in certain ways, but ultimately there's a bigger answer, I feel. There's an answer that's right there encoded in the question, who am I? And I'm going to get to that in a few minutes, but I want you to think about it as we roll through this little video and talk about you, and talk about what drives you, what inspires you, what takes you on this journey of your life, and what are the lessons you're supposed to learn. I think everything happens for a reason. There are no accidents. Things just don't show up in your life by accident. I truly believe that. And my life has been a testament to that. My stories in my life, I've written them in a book called The Now-ist, and it's hopefully going to teach people how to focus more consistently on the present moment, how to live their life focused on what they want instead of what they don't want in that moment, in the many moments of your life and of your day and of your hours and even of your minutes. It sounds like a lot to take in, but ultimately those questions will be answered by you, because I believe they're supposed to be answered by you. If you're looking outside of yourself for answers, if you're looking from some guru or some other teachings, really ultimately it comes back to your life and what you're going to do. The question, who am I, is a very important question to ask yourself. But the code is written in the word, who am I? It says in Exodus that the name of God is I am. God told Moses that his name was I am that I am. When you say, who am I? What's that spelled backwards? I am. Who am I? I am. The name of God is I am. I know it's a lot to take in, and you're probably thinking to myself, I'm not God. But when you say I am that I am, what are you saying? I am sick? Most of the days people say I am sick, I am tired, I am poor, I am lonely, I am broke, I'm lost, I am out of money, I am out of energy. But when you say that, you realize you're saying the name of God, I am. It was said 2,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago, however long it was that the Old Testament was written, that I am is the name of God. How do you use your I ams? How do you use them daily? How do you use them weekly? You constantly tell yourself, I am, but you don't know what you're saying. I mean, it's almost worse than saying, a blasphemous word, using God's name, all these inflammatory things that you could say in your life. You don't realize that you say them consistently, even more blasphemous, by saying, I am poor, I am sad, I am lonely, I am lost, I am not good enough. You are. I am. Use your I ams powerfully. Realize when you say who I am, you're answering your own question. I am God. I am that I am. It means I am that I am, meaning I am that person. You are that person. We all have God in us. We're all a spark of God. And if you can take that spark and you can extrapolate on it and expand on it and focus on it in a way that will change your life, it'll change your stars, because the power of your life is written in the word I am. When you get that, when you really get it, you can change your life, because you come from a different place. You come from a place of power, from a place of abundance, from a place of the Creator that created us all. There's a spark of God in all of us. And it is that I am presence that you need to focus on. I am that I am. Who am I? I am. So many people get lost in that huge question. I know it's a massive existential question that most people can't wrap their head around. And some people watching this think, well, it's too simple. I cannot say I am God. Even though it's written in one of the greatest books of all time, perhaps the greatest book of all time, the Bible. God's name is I am that I am. How do you use your I ams? You must ask yourself that question consistently, because if you check in with yourself, you'll realize you say I am all the time, but you usually say it in a negative way. I think if you could walk down the street and there could be like a quotient, like one of those quotation bubbles around someone's head. If you could actually see that, if you could take the veil away of this world, of the thinking mind, and you could just see these little bubbles around people's thoughts, and you could just walk down the street and see what they were thinking. If it just showed up like a comic book, you'd be surprised. I think the majority of people have this negative self-talk that goes through their life, and they realize that, my thinking is always pulling me down. And if they could realize that their thoughts are things, that as they think, so they create, so they become, they would change their life. But We live here in Santa Barbara, California. It's paradise. It's arguably one of the most beautiful places in the world. And State Street is the main drag. And I walk down sometimes and we see homeless people, we see wealthy people, we see kids, husbands, wives, couples together. I was walking the other day and I was trying to look at people's faces and look at their expressions and think, man, I wonder what they're thinking. And I was looking at their expressions. I was putting these captions above their head myself. And you can kind of look at their countenance, how they're holding their physiology, how they're holding their body. And you could tell that the majority of these people were not really happy. We have a lot of tourists here. But when I was looking at the everyday people that live here, you could see there was a lot of stress. There was a lot of worry, a lot of tension, focus on something that was making their physiology down. The tourists, of course, are happy. So I see this contrast and I think, wow, I would love to know what these people are thinking. So I kind of made it up in my head. And I've looked at different studies and found that yes, self-talk is a huge part of people's life. It's the majority. You think and you talk to yourself all the time in your brain. But how often is your thinking positive? How often are you thinking about your I am in a negative way? How often do you spend your time resignating in negative energy and negative self-talk? And then you're surprised at the end of your day, or the end of your month, end of your year, that life is kind of showing up in a way you don't like, or life has become something that you're not part of. It's kind of your life is living you, that you're pulled through life in this inertia, this negative momentum that's pulled you in a direction you don't want to go. But you can take your power back. That's why this book I've written called The Now-ist has so much information about just that topic. The now, the present moment, your focus, how you can change your life, how you can change your stars, how you can take a negative feeling and turn it into a positive by different types of feelings in your body, different self-talk, different emotions, different words, different thinking. Because the thinking mind, it tends to take us where we don't want to go without us even knowing. We get pulled on the river of life and we wonder why we end up someplace we had no intention of being. We show up at this new port in our life, and that port is usually someplace we didn't want to go. We showed up there surprisingly. It kind of happened by accident. That's not what life's supposed to be about. You have the control of your life. You have the opportunity to do things a completely different way if you choose a different way of thinking. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Dr. Wayne Dyer said that. God rest his soul, he passed away a few years ago. But that has always stuck with me. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. That was probably his epitaph on his stone when he passed, because that was his message. He wrote 41 books, but that was his message that I think he left this planet with, that changing the way you look at things can change your life. And when you change your self-talk, you're changing the way you look at things, you're internalizing it in a different way. That can change your life. Then each thought will stack on the next thought, will change your momentum. Eventually your life will take you in a place you want to go. You'll dock in a port that's happy, a place that takes you to your ultimate destiny, which is finding the question, who am I? And then answering that question with I am. Who am I? Backwards is I am. The answer is in the question. It seems so simple, but think about it. How does it relate to your life? The answer is coded in who am I? Who am I? Spelled backwards is I am. Who am I? I am. The answer is in the question. That's why I feel like it's been coded in us, in our DNA, in our life, to answer that question at some point. You're going to ask that question and you're going to be at a low spot. You might be at a high spot. You realize that the question gets answered many times in our life. But when you really get it, the answer is in the question. Who am I? I am is the name of God. So for me, when I stumbled across that answer, when it revealed itself to me, I realized that I was I am. That I am I am. It was tough. It took me at least 2 weeks when I was given that idea of who am I and I am. When I discovered that answer encoded in the question, it changed my life forever. It inspired me to write the book that I've just completed called The Now-ist. That book is my life's work. It's a spiritual memoir. It teaches me about the present moment, and that living in that present moment answers that question, who am I?